This is a heist for the Boston Celtics as trade talks and projections keep flying on Anfernee Simons. With the 2025-26 season coming closer, today we talk about a new mock trade from NBC Sports Boston where the Celtics shed some cap, along with acquiring a much-needed big man for Boston. Welcome into Celtics Digest, everybody. I'm Jace Andrews. I appreciate you tuning in to today's show. I have lots to discuss, especially on Anfernee Simons, whether or not he will be staying in Boston this season or be traded. It seems like the latter is the preferred option for Brad Stevens, but whether or not he can get a good package in return is the real question. Before we get going, though, on today's show, I want to remind you to hit that subscribe button. 100% free. Got lots coming up here with the 2025-26 season. Media days, obviously preseason, and the opening game coming up here in literally just about a month and a half at this point. So go down there, hit that subscribe button. We're going to be coming up with daily coverage as we get closer to the 2025-26 season. The headline for today, Anfernee Simons trade idea sees the Celtics land a two-time All-Star, but more importantly in this headline, I think I should say a big man, which is a very important position for the Boston Celtics. The center right now in terms of starter is Nikola Vucevic, which is not a bad thing. He actually has had a really good game in the Eurobasket group stage. In fact, we saw a good game last night. But besides the point here, for today's details, I do think a center is a much-needed thing the Celtics could have, trading away Kristaps Porziņģis. And Anfernee Simons, it doesn't seem like the Celtics or Brad Stevens really want to keep him. But again, they also understand that he is a valuable player, and they're not just going to trade him away for nothing. We go to a report here from Nessun's Victor Barbosa, where she says, quote, with the Celtics still facing financial uncertainty and a possible one-year break from contention while Jayson Tatum recovers, Simon's spot on the roster seems uneven. And that's for a couple different reasons. And we've talked about this on the show before, but just to kind of re-rack your brain here, he doesn't exactly, I seem, fit with the Boston Celtics. His defense isn't great. His offense is actually pretty good, but I'm a little bit curious how they would play him, knowing they like the ability of Derrick White, they like the ability of Peyton Pritchard, and those two guys are going to be here for the next couple of years. So I think the longevity and the growth of Peyton Pritchard is going to be more important than playing Anfernee Simons, unless for whatever reason the East is really, really bad and you're able to maybe get out a playoff spot, which isn't a surprising thing, but definitely could happen. At that time, though, I think you'd have to understand that to actually have a chance to win the NBA title, you probably need Jayson Tatum to come back, whether that be right for the playoff start or right in the playoffs. But either way you slice it, Anfernee Simons will not be here next year. I mean, it's just plain flat and simple. His contract and what the Celtics plan to do with the money financially, trying to stay under the first apron right now, and the second apron, there's really just no point to re-sign Anfernee Simons next season when he does become a free agent. And so trade ideas are flying. We have a new one here from NBC Sports Boston, Josh Cano, and here is the report. Quote, NBC Sports Boston media editor Josh Cano floated a new trade proposal involving Simons on Wednesday, an idea that would send the 26-year-old to Chicago, and in exchange, the Celtics would get center Nikola Vucevic, which Vucevic has had a long career. I gotta be honest, hearing his name, I was like, wait, this guy is still in the NBA, but it's a one-for-one trade. The Boston Celtics would receive Nikola Vucevic, and the Chicago Bulls would receive Anfernee Simons. This is all an NBC Sports trade idea. Both sides, it does work. Simons would be a very good, I'm going to say, an asset to the Chicago Bulls. Right now, they're still in contract and fluctual discussions with Josh Giddey. Simons getting a shooting guard, puts him right in, and they can kind of have a little bit of a weight over Josh Giddey, who's a restricted free agent, so they could, pay him dirt cheap. Either way you slice it, though, again, you're going to get Vucevic as a center, and I do think that he would be a very good help to this Boston Celtics squad. He is a little bit on the other side, 35 years old this upcoming season, 31.2 minutes per game last year at the Bulls, and averaging a double-double with points per game at 18.5 and rebounds at 10.1 with a field goal percentage of .530. I think he has all the intangibles the Celtics like, and I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't like Nikola Vucevic. I think he's a very good prospect. I think there's a lot to be excited about him, but the Celtics have a decision to make, and players and financial agreements and honestly the upper management have, I'm not going to say disagreed, but decisions kind of differ. A lot of the players, and of course you would expect them to say, they're not saying it's a gap year. And the financial front and the way the front office is trying to manage this, and with Jayson Tatum's injury, it kind of seems like this is not a gap year, but more of a growth year in a lot of ways. Letting some of the younger players, or letting Peyton Pritchard, some of the guys that maybe aren't young but need to be a better caliber of player if the Celtics want to make another championship run, need to let them get better. Sam Hauser's going to have a ton of minutes. Peyton Pritchard's going to have a ton of minutes, and I'm excited to see that. Peyton Pritchard, though, has come out and said that this is a gap year. And a lot of, I think, Celtics fans and Celtics media are realizing that the East is not going to be good, and that the Celtics, although their roster compared to the past couple seasons, it does not look as good as past years, it still is a good enough roster in my mind to get them into a playoff spot. Right now, your starting five is Derrick White, Anfernee Simons, which I personally think it'll be Peyton Pritchard there. We'll kind of see how that goes. Jaylen Brown will be the small forward. Sam Hauser will be the power forward. And the center, as we mentioned, name is Keita. Chris Boucher at the backup power forward and center. I'm curious kind of what light we'll see in him. Obviously, the signing from Toronto this offseason, a free agent. But Vucevic will allow you to have a good center and a rebounding center, which Keita is, but I just don't know how much I trust in that eye. Kind of continue on with the report. Josh Cano kind of explains it here, saying, quote, both players are expiring contracts. The Bulls get a younger player, and the Celtics get a starring center and some cap relief as well. Not the sexiest move, but a move that works and is attainable. And that's the bigger thing. It's up to Brad Stevens. How much does he want to trade Anfernee Simons? Because I think this is a very good outlook on it. In terms of cap space, I want to go and kind of look at that real quick. You have $27.6 million this year with Anfernee Simons. Comparing that to Vucevic, you're at $21.4. So you're cutting off about $6 million of your $12 million you need to cut to get under that apron. So I think this is a very decent move that gets you a good player, gets you closer to being under that cap. It would require you to have more moves, but we've already seen the Celtics. They've been able to, trade players to get more and then immediately trade those players away. Remember, Kristaps Porziņģis, you got Georges Niang, and then you immediately traded him to the Utah Jazz for a rookie pick, or a rookie guy, and R.J. Lewis Jr. So they have obviously been willing to say, okay, we're not always going to keep these guys that we're going to go out and trade for. Same thing here. You're going to have to make more moves, but it's going to help. So kind of continuing on, the $12 million cap, Josh Cano of NBC Sports Boston saying, quote, with the Celtics still roughly $12 million from clearing the luxury tax, a Simons for Vucevic transaction would save some money and give the team a much-needed big man, which I think it's true. Again, I'm a little bit hard on Neemias Queta. I think there is a lot of happiness and hope for him, and the Celtics obviously do really like him, so maybe for that reason, this is a trade they would probably stick away from making, but in a lot of lights, Vucevic fills a need. You get a guy who, first of all, is a veteran. I mean, this guy has been in the league since 2011, 2012. I was 10 years old, and this guy's been playing, and now I'm 23. So, he's been in there for a very long time. Obviously, a majority of his career was with the Orlando Magic, now with the Chicago Bulls. He's a very good, center. He's been averaging 18 points, or in between the 20 to 18 average since, 2020. So, he is or even farther back, go back to, 2018 area. He's been above 18 points. So, he's a very good person to kind of fill that center position, center need. It's, again, I think this is a very, very good trade, but it's more on the Celtics' adaptation and trying to figure out what is the best move for future plans, and do you rather have more playing time for Keita if you're gonna see him as your long-term center, or Chris Boucher if you want to try and keep him around? Same thing with Sam Hauser, because what's the plan with the power forward position in that slot? So I think in a lot of ways, the trade is a very good one, but it's also a hard one for the Celtics to make just because of developmental and kind of what they want to do in terms of, making sure this team has a very well-rounded bunch by next season. With that being said, though, I open it up to discussion to you. Is this a trade that you would like to see the Celtics make? Once you get down in the comment section, let me know. Is this something you want to see the Celtics do? Is this something you don't want to see the Celtics do? I'm curious for your 2 cents. Get it down there in the comment section. As always, we appreciate you watching. We appreciate you tuning in. If you made it to the end of the video, you are by far a real one. Obviously, watching these videos day in, day out during the really dead part of the NBA season. But don't worry, media days, lots to come, lots more news, and lots of stuff to get covered here on Celtics Digest. So with that being said, again, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time. For now, peace out, guys.